All right, so this is a video on just a really quick primer on a SWOT analysis, and I am talking to a friend of mine named Paul. Hi, Paul. And I want Paul to be able to see just kind of how I look at a SWOT analysis. So now I'm going to show you the typical SWOT analysis looks like this, and it's a list of, you can see, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So the first mistake people make is putting it in, just making a bullet list around the S without any levels of complexity, or the O or the T, or the W or the O or the T. The strengths and weaknesses are things that happen, that they exist inside of you or inside of your company. The opportunities and the threats exist outside. They're the ways that your strengths and weaknesses interact with the world out there. So right now I have it kind of done my way, and I am going to create a mind map, and so I have a cross between these things because the middle is really your SWOT. And so essentially what you're going to do is, for strengths, you're going to write down just a few. You might write down a few strengths here, and you're gonna map those fundamental strengths back to your S. You're going to write a few weaknesses here, and then you're going to map those as well. And by drawing these lines, you're actually making a decision. Most people don't realize the power of that, but by writing things down in here, you're making a literal decision that these things relate to, wherever you put them. And then you're going to write down some initial threats. This is a multi-step process. So this is only the first step. I'm going to make this bolder so it stands out a little more here. So as I said before, the S and W exists inside of you or inside of your company. The opportunities and threats exist out there in the world, in the market. And so what you're trying to do is create an inventory of all this stuff. But the key to creating an inventory is, first of all, to have detail. So let's say that I say that my business is, I'm a plumbing business, and my strengths are service, quality, and price. So that's great and everything, right? But here's what's going to happen. You're going to say service, quality, and price, and then you're going to go over here. And if you're honest about your competition, they're going to surround you. There's probably one person who's going to be lower price, one person who's going to be super good at service and have a reputation for that, and then another one that's like super good at quality or something, right? And so if that's the case, you do not have a competitive advantage. You can pretend like, oh, I'm good at service, quality, and price, but the fact is nobody believes you if you say you're good at everything, right? Nobody believes you. They just think you're, don't know about marketing. So that doesn't, here's the reason, because that doesn't tell a good story. Service, quality, and price, in other words, we're everything good, that doesn't really tell a great story. And so what you want to do is put some detail around that. What do I mean by quality, right? What are my distinctives? What do I mean by quality? Quality might mean this. Oh, it might mean this. Oh, well, we tend to do this one thing, and so that means we're good at this, right? As part of our practices. And then you might turn quality service, so you might turn service. Oh, we do this, this, and this, right? And you're defining practices. And the same thing with price. I don't really know. I mean, we offer discounts or incentives or whatever. But now you have some detail on these things, and so now you can look at your competitors and say, okay, well, do they do this? Oh, they're super strong in this, right? They're super strong in this area, and so these people are, and so since that maps to that, then you just say, you know what? They duplicate what we do, and we don't want to compete with them on that because then we'll just turn into price competitors because there's no difference between us. And whenever there's no difference between two products, people just look at price, right? So we can't tell a better story than they can in this area and really be honest and deliver on that promise. So cross that out, right? So service. Oh, this person's good at service. You know what? They do all these things better than we do, and our strongest thing is still quality, right? Let's say. Because by quality we mean this and this, whatever. All right, so you cross that one out and you say, okay. And the cool thing about this is, you don't want to have a bunch of strengths that you have to talk about every single time you make an ad or every time you hire someone, or anytime you try to sell something. You don't want to have a bunch of strengths. You want to be competent in a lot of areas, but people expect that, right? People expect a basic level of quality, service, and price, right? What you're looking for is the distinctive, that one thing that's meaningful to people that you can talk about that will stand out. And right now it's here. And right now we're trying to find the truth. We're not trying to do any cheerleading. We're just trying to find the truth. Like, what are some small areas we're better than other people? Okay, so we talked about quality, service. Let's look at price. So let's say you have someone here who's good at price, right? Here's the thing about price. Price is not really what you want people to buy you based on. Price is a secondary concern. What people are looking for primarily is something that's going to fit their needs. That's why companies with high margins don't always just talk about price. The exception would be if you're a monopoly player in the market. But you don't want to talk about price usually, because that usually means a price war, and you don't want to get in a price war. So this person is about price, and first of all, everybody knows about it. Let's just take them out. Let's not talk about freaking price, right? Okay, so now we have these two things, these two ways we're better than everybody else, right? Two ways we are substantially and provably, right, better than everybody else. Well, the question now is which one of these things are most important to our audience? Well, let's look at who we say our opportunities are, right? And so we may say, hey, this one we're really important to these people, and this one we're kind of important to these people. Well, if it makes sense, say, hey, these people are our first priority because we're going to make the most money off of those people, and we're still going to be doing something awesome, and they're still going to be getting a really good benefit from that. And so what you might do is, instead of crossing out these ones, what I might do is just say that's number one, that's number two, and that's maybe a distant third. Some we'll expand to if we feel like we need to, or if we're looking for a way to make more money. Okay, that's great. So now let's look at weaknesses really quick. Weaknesses, you might have, like, I don't know. I always use multitasking as a weakness because that's easy to deal with. What you want to do with weaknesses is you want to say, this one, well, what do I mean by that, right? You still want to kind of define that out a little bit, and so you know what you're talking about. Give it some resolution so it makes sense to you, and then and so you break it down. Like, what do I mean by that is an excellent question for this whole SWOT analysis. What do I mean by that when I say that, right? If it's something like things that I can't deal with very well, we really need to be asking, what do I mean by that, especially when we're talking about quality, service, price. Okay, but back to the weaknesses. Weaknesses come in different forms, right? So there are essentially two categories of weaknesses. One kind of weakness is the kind of weakness where I want to change it. So if I don't know enough about my the market, right? Let's say that's one of my weaknesses. That's something I should learn about, probably, because it's going to make me money, right? And it's going to help me to do this and this better, right? If it helps you to do that and that better, you want to change it. You might have, you might have like, we suck at, like, we're inefficient with our processes, and that's by nature because we're trying to be creative and we're treating each client like their own thing, right? And so you're going to lack efficiency because you can't, if you're treating each client as an individual, then by definition, you can't be creating a process that just treats everybody the same, right? And so you might say efficiency is one of your weaknesses. Well, that might be something you just say, you know what, we're not even going to try to fix that. Like, we might, look for some small efficiencies and stuff, but that's not our main thing. We're not going to worry about that right now. It's not something that's going to help us right now. And so you do that with all these things. You say, is this something I'm going to change? Is it worth changing? Or is it not worth changing? Is it just something I'm not going to fix? And we're just going to say, look, we're going to avoid that. And so now you have a list of a bunch of things. Let's say you're like, we're not going to change that. We're not going to change that. But you know what? Here's an opportunity for change. Here's an opportunity for change. And then these two are opportunities for change. So now what you're going to do is when you do your strategy and you say, okay, here's our big strength. Now that we've done this and we've eliminated so much of the crap, this is our main strength we're going to commit to because these people care about it and they're willing to pay for it. And we're going to build that. We're going to grow that. And we're going to stand for that to these people. To these people, that is what we mean. Not quality, service, price, not vague stories about how better looking our drivers are or anything stupid and silly like that. It's that, right? And if you're going to be funny in your ads, make it funny, but about that, right? And so And then as you go through your strategy to execute that, you're going to say, these are our weaknesses. We're going to create a strategy that doesn't make us have to be good at those things, right? We're going to develop a strategy that leverages who we are. And then these things, as we improve in these things, we're going to get just better at it. And we're going to totally avoid these things right here. Okay, so that's my summary of the SWOT analysis. And SWOT analyses go way deeper than that. But this is just a basic summary for my friend Paul and for anybody out there who's interested. Thanks.